friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Justina, and here I like to make, create, and inspire fun art things with you through my DIYs. And as you see by today's title, I have a brand new video for you that is all about the Easter peeps. Now this video is jam-packed with awesome DIYs that really help your dollar stretch, especially when it comes to decor. And it all started with Dollar Tree's set of 4 peep containers. I absolutely love this, and they are in the plus section for $5, but you can really do a bunch of things with this. So if you are wanting to see what I create, just keep on watching. But before we get started, if you are new here and you haven't yet subscribed, I hope you do that today. All you have to do is click on that big red subscribe button down below. It is totally free, but don't forget to click on the bell notification so that YouTube can always notify you every time I upload a new video. Plus, we would love to have you here, part of our virtual art family. If you are already a subscriber, thank you so much for being here, but don't forget to do all of those YouTubey things down below, which is like, comment, and share it to at least one friend. It really does help out my channel. Now, with all that being said, let's just jump right into it and let's art today. So once again, I am working with Dollar Tree's Peep set of 4. It says egg containers, but they are the bunny ones, and they were $5 in the plus section. Now, here's what they look like when they're out of the container, and they come in 2 different set sizes. So this one has the big bunny as yellow, and there's another one where I believe the big bunny is pink, and so on and so forth. So the first thing I want to make with these bunnies is, of course, a painting. So I took the smallest bunny out of that collection, and I'm placing it right onto my canvas. This canvas is 11 by 14 canvas size, and I believe I got this from Ross, but Dollar Tree does sell canvases in various sizes. So I do get a lot of comments saying that they aren't comfortable with painting, but this painting is super easy because basically all you're going to do is place down your peep onto your canvas and trace it out using a pencil. Now I wanted all of my peeps to go in different ways, so I'm placing it all over my canvas, upside down, sideways, and even diagonally, just so that it has a really cute effect. But remember, you can line it up however you like. After I trace out all of my bunnies, I am rounding out the bottom so that it looks more like the peep style instead of a flat bottom. And this is how it looks after I traced out all of my bunnies. It's time for the fun part, which is painting. Here are the paints that I'm using, and it is my Apple Barrel Paints multi-surface, and it's in the satin. I have Princess Pink, Orange Cream, Summer Sky, Wisteria, and Pale Yellow. Now, once again, you do not need expensive paint to create great art. You can use those types of paint that I'm using, which is really affordable and easy to use. The only difference is you do have to use multiple coats to really get a nice opaque look. As you see here, I am starting with my favorite color, which is orange, and I'm painting my first peep in. And like I mentioned before, I do have to give it a couple of coats to make sure that everything's opaque. I will continue filling in each one of those peeps in all different colors and making sure not to put the same color too close to another same color. Now, it may be easier to plan ahead to see which color goes where, but for me, I like to start and see where it takes me and really just take my time in filling in all of those peeps. Once I was done filling them in, it looks like this, and now it's time for the background. Now, you can always plan ahead and maybe buy a black canvas to begin with, but I find it really hard to add pastel colors onto a dark surface, so I first added it to the white canvas, and I'm just painting in the background. You don't have to use a black background if you do not wish to do so, but for me, I really enjoy a black background. It really makes those pastel colors pop right off of it. I just took a really small paintbrush and started filling in all of the background around the peeps, and then I took my time going around the peep itself, trying to make a nice smooth edge onto those peeps, and it helps clean up any mistakes that I've had. Here's how it looks after it's filled in and dried. And now it's time to add the Peeps face. Now I'm still unaware. I'm pretty sure I can just Google it, but I'm not sure if it's just the 2 eyes and a nose or 2 eyes and a mouth. However, the pictures that I looked up, it seemed to be a brown color, so that is what I use. I'm using my Posca paint marker, adding it right onto my Peeps, making these little tiny circles for the little eyes and the nose or a mouth. I also had to give this about 2 coats of paint, so I just made sure that those eyes were completely dry, and then I went right back over it with that Posca paint marker. Now you can always use regular paint right on top of it also, but this was just a little bit more easier and convenient. Now I wanted to add a little bit more detail, and I have a pink, yellow, and blue Posca paint marker, and I want to make little sprinkles in the background. So I'm just adding these little oval shapes in the background, and I'm changing colors in between just to make sure that everything was evenly spaced so that it looks cohesive. Once I had all of my sprinkles on, I did add highlights to my Peeps and then waited for that to completely dry, and that completes this DIY. I absolutely adore how this painting turned out. This was really fun and very therapeutic for me. Even though it's so simple, it really makes a statement. Now, one thing I love about this canvas is that you can place it any which way and it still looks amazing. I absolutely love it and would love to know what you think about this down in the comment section below. This DIY is really simple. All you're going to really need is a piece of foam. I had these foam pieces in my house from things that we bought, and I'm just showing you it is about that thick, but you can always use Dollar Tree foam board to do this DIY. Once again, I am using those Dollar Tree Peeps, and I'm just lining them up onto that piece of foam. Now ultimately this DIY, I am just going to use those really tiny Peeps once again, but I did line them up and traced out each one of those sizes. I do use them later on, just not in this video, but I then took a permanent Sharpie marker and I'm outlining each one of those Peeps. You can always use a pencil or something else. I just wanted to make sure that I can see it nicely. Once again, I am rounding out the bottoms of it so it looks more like a Peep and not like a flat surfaced area, and I continue to do that with all sizes of those Peeps. But I do make more of the little ones later on, which I show you here. Here's how it looks after I have the majority of them on there. And I did cut down my foam piece so that it can fit onto my table. And I did use my wood burning tool. Now, once again, if you're going to do this the way I'm doing it, make sure you take all of the precautions necessary for your safety. I am making sure I go super slow to cut this out. My window is open, my fan is on, and I'm in a well ventilated area and I'm taking my time. So please be very careful if you use this wood burning tool. Now, since I only need the smaller Peeps for this DIY, I just removed the bigger ones out of my way and placed that to the side so I can use later. And then to make it easier for me to cut them out individually, I just cut the section in half so that it is a easier piece to work with. After I have that out, I then took my wood burning tool again and I'm tracing out the outer edges of the lines that we created with the black permanent marker. I am really taking my time here, but this video is sped up so that you don't have to sit through it all. I am just making sure to take my time so that we get those smooth outer edges for our finished product. After I have the outlined burnt off pretty much, all I needed to do was pop off of that plastic. I don't know why my camera cut off, but here's the second one. Once again, I'm really taking my time making sure to get really smooth edges, and once I have it cut out, all I needed to do was pop that foam right off. It is really easy, and then I will continue doing that for all of my Peeps, which I believe I have 16 pieces in total. Here is all of our Peeps cut out. Well, technically these are just just 8 of them. The other 8 is over to the side, but I absolutely love them. They're super cute. Now, some of them do have hairs. Those are easy to pull off. And these are the paint colors that I'm using. Once again, I am using my Apple Barrel multi-surface satin paint in all of these colors. And the difference is I just added green to this. And I absolutely love it. It adds another pop of color. Now, I just add the paint right on top of the Peep. And I just start painting on. Now, I do add a nice generous amount and make sure to get all of the front and the sides covered. You can technically paint the back. I did not on this one because you won't be able to see it later on, but you can always take that extra step if you want to. I will continue adding the paints right on top. After I had them all painted, I did lay them out so they will completely dry. Now you're going to have some duplicates of some of those colors, so it is a little bit different, but the way that we place them all together, it would look like a nice pattern. Once again, this is how it looks. I just think it's so vibrant and pretty when they're all displayed. Now it's time to add the faces, and once again I am using my paintbrush and black acrylic paint for this one. I didn't want to use brown because I thought the black will show better, so that is what I'm doing, adding the 3 little dots. Now it's time to place everything together, and I'm making a Peeps wreath. I found this plastic one in my crafting stash, and I'm just using what I have, but you can always find different size wreath forms at Dollar Tree. I also have this very colorful ribbon in my crafting stash that I had for quite some time. I really don't know where it's from. I believe it's from Michael's, but I'm not sure. And I'm just going to wrap it around my wreath form. I make sure to wrap it a little bit tight so everything is nice and neat and nice and taut, so you won't be able to see any of that wreath form underneath. I did place a little bead of hot glues to start it off with, and once I was done wrapping it, I do end it with a little bead of hot glue also. Now it is time to assemble everything together. Here's my wreath form, and yes, you do still see a little bit of the wreath form, but we are going to cover it with the Peeps, so you won't be able to see that later on. And I'm just placing them all around my wreath form, making sure that they are evenly spaced and making sure that none of the same color are next to each other. Once again, I am just using my hot glue gun to attach all of the Peeps down. Then I hold it into place to make sure that it dries in the upright position. After I have them all down the first layer, this is what it looks like. I like that you can still see the colorful ribbon showing through, but I wanted to fill up those empty spots in between each Peep. And once again, that's where our second set comes in. I'm adding hot glue to the back of the wreath form and then on top of the Peep so that the front Peeps can hold the ones in the back. Once again, I hold them down until they're completely dry. And lastly, I just wanted to add a little bit more detail with these yellow and pink beads. I add a little bit of hot glue and push them down in between of those Peeps just to give it a little hint of detail. But once that was dry, that completes this DIY. I absolutely loved how this wreath turned out. I love how the Peeps are so bright and vibrant, and this would be perfect for your front door or even doors inside. Now this is really lightweight, so you might want to make sure that you put really good command strips or have it in a place that isn't windy, but I absolutely love how this turned out. This next DIY is kind of not my favorite, but I wanted to share it with you because I thought it would be really cute if you execute it much better than what I did. So I have this bell cloche from Dollar Tree. They have a bunch of them out right now because it is the spring season, but I've had these for about 2 years. I bought them and I never used them, and I thought, hey, this would be a perfect DIY. So I did try to remove those stickers. It did not work, and I was like, well, that's fine. So next I took a pair of scissors and I started cutting the edge of the cloche. Now I wanted this to look like a cracked egg, so I'm going in a zigzag motion to make it look like the egg is cracked. I did use a pair of scissors, but as you just saw, I did use my wood burning tool for the edges that were just really sharp, and I wanted those to melt into each other so I didn't get cut. After I have the outer edge where I like it, I then took this little plastic cup that is from Dollar Tree. I use these cups for everything. I believe 12 come in a pack, and they're so versatile that you can use them for pretty much everything. I place mine below my cloche, and since these are clear, you can see where both of them line up. I added a black permanent marker, made a circle, and as you see here, I flipped it around, added hot glue to where I marked it, and then flipped it back around onto that little cup. I did add extra hot glue for security so that this will be a little stand for our broken egg. After that was dry, I then found a candlestick in my crafting stash, and I want to place that underneath my bowl so that this will be like a little cracked egg on a pedestal. Once that was dry, I wanted to take this outside and spray paint it. The two spray paints that I'm using is my Rust-Oleum spray paint in grape and also golden sunset, and for some reason it did not feel me spray painting the inside, but I spray painted the inside with that golden sunset, and then the outside of my egg I'm spray painting it in that grape color. After it was completely dry, this is what it looks like, and some of the spray paint on the inside did bubble up. I'm not sure, maybe because this is a really flimsy, cheap plastic piece, but I still went with it. Next, I added white dots all over my egg, and this is where I feel like I really messed up, because once I started adding the dots, it started to look more like a dinosaur egg to me. Now, you can always add stripes, you can leave it plain, but this is where I was like, well, it can't get any worse. But it does. I then realized I didn't want my pedestal to match the egg, so I started painting it with a green chalk paint and let that completely dry. I still didn't like how it looked, so I was like, let's just throw a big bow on it. So bow making is really hard for me, so I did that off camera. And then I wanted to dovetail my bows, and of course I did it in the wrong way, so I had to recut it and make sure to get those dovetails looking great. And I just continue cutting both of those tails, and then I am going to hot glue it right onto that little piece underneath our egg. I don't even know what to call it. I guess it's part of the pedestal. Once again, I am using my hot glue, added a nice dollop, and then stuck my bow right on top and held it until it was completely dry. The last thing I wanted to do was add a peep on the inside of this egg, but I didn't want it to be permanent so that I can use that peep later. All I did was add a piece of floral foam on the bottom so that it gives our peep a little height, and that completes this DIY. Is how our peep popping out of its cracked egg turned out. Is it absolutely terrible? No, but it's still not my favorite. I believe if I did things differently, it would turn out better, but I know for a fact that you can do this and make it 10 times better than what I did, but I still think it turned out pretty cute. To really make your dollar stretch on this one, I want to turn this into 2 stacking topiaries. Now, to do so, I am removing them from its backing, and as you see here, we have 2 stacks. Now, to make my topiary, I have this wooden dowel that I purchased from Walmart. It was only 76 cents each, so I grabbed a few of them because I've been doing a lot of stacking DIYs, but here are the measurements if you are wanting to know how long it is. And I am going to start adding it to those bunnies. Now, to add them to the dowel, I have to make a hole, and for me, I personally like to use a wood burning tool. It's easy for me and the safer option, so that if you're trying to use a knife, you don't slip and cut yourself. But if you tend to use a wood burning tool, make sure you do all of the safety PPEs, which is open a window, you can wear a mask, and be in a well ventilated area. The best solution is to go outside. So as you see here, I'm just adding my wood burning tool right onto the area where I want to make a hole. I'm trying to go in a rounded motion so that it makes a perfect hole. Here's a better look on that. As you see here, I just press down slowly, and then I'm just making a circle with it so that I make a nice rounded hole so that we can slip it right into the dowel and it stacks up nicely. Now with my first bunny, I made the hole really small so that it is nice and snug. That way it won't move anywhere, and then I start stacking the rest. Now for the top bunny, as you see here, it was going to fall over and move all over the place. So to remedy that, I'm going to add a piece of floral foam right on the inside, and I'm just using hot glue to attach the floral foam on the inside of our bunny here, and that way if I want to remove it later, I can just rip that out and I can use it again next year. Then I place the dowel right in the hole that we created into the floral foam, and it does not move. Do the same exact thing for the other stack of bunnies that we pushed to the side. Now to hide those dowels that are in between each of the bunnies, I'm using some floral foam. I'm shoving it down there to make sure it's the perfect size, and then I'm attaching it using my hot glue gun. Now even though I want to remove this later on until the season is over, using my hot glue is easy because it will pop right off of that dowel and then I can store it away later. Now to hide the floral foam and the dowel, I'm going to use different types of greenery, some leaves, and some floral. Once again, I am just using my hot glue to attach everything down. As I'm gluing down my greenery and my florals, if you are new here and you haven't yet subscribed, I hope you do that today. All you have to do is click on that big red subscribe button down below. It is totally free, but don't forget to click on the bell notification so that YouTube can always notify you every time I upload a new video. Plus, we would love to have you here, part of our virtual art family. If you're already a subscriber, thank you so much for clicking on today's video and joining me in making some of these DIYs. But don't forget to do all of the YouTubey things down below, which is like, comment, and share it to at least one friend. It really does help out my channel. Now, once I was done with my topiary parts, it is now time to add a base for it, and I'm just going to use what I have on hand, which is a terracotta pot. I bought these back when the 99-cent store was open and was going out of business, and I purchased so much. So it wasn't $1.49. I believe it was about 25 cents. I want to cover it first using my Waverly chalk paint in the color Snow White. Now, I've been painting terracotta pots for a long time now, it feels like, and the best solution that I found out is to seal your terracotta pot first. Use any type of sealant that you have. I like to use the Rust-Oleum sealant and then paint on top of that. That way when you add your paint, the terracotta pot isn't soaking in all that paint and you have to use multiple coats to get good coverage. It will definitely save you a lot of paint and a lot of time, but I had to use about 2 coats because I did not seal mine. And then on top of my white paint, I'm going to add my apple barrel paints in blue, pink, and yellow. I like these because they remind me of spring and Easter. So I flipped my pot around and I first started off using that blue acrylic paint. Now, since they are acrylic paints, you're still going to need a couple of coats on top of it because acrylic paint seems to be really thin, at least the Apple Barrel brand. But you can make a dozen of beautiful artworks with using this apple barrel paint, so I don't mind it at all. I just add a couple of coats, and when I was done with the blue, I moved on to the yellow, and now I'm moving on to the pink. Once again, like I mentioned, I do have to give it a couple of coats, and I do the same exact thing with another pot for our second topiary. Now, as you see here, I wanted to paint the inside of my pot, and I'm just using the pink color for the whole entire inside of it. Here's how it looks after the whole thing is completely dry, and since this is a satin pink, it does have a little shimmer. Now, to attach everything together, I wanted to dummy up the bottom of my pot, and I just had a half of a foam ball that I've used in plenty of DIYs. I put that down first, and then I put down some floral foam. As you see there was a hole into it because I've used that a couple of times. And next I'm filling up the sides with plastic bags and some crafting paper, just to make sure that everything is nice and snug and holds that floral foam to stay right into the center. Now, to hide the crafting paper, I found these felt sheets in my Easter spring stash, and I'm just removing them from the packaging, and I'm just adding it on top of our crafting paper that is in our flower pot. Next, I'm taking a topiary and sticking it down into the floral foam, and then adding the other felt sheet. Now, you can always add some rocks or some flowers to yours, but I decided to add the felt sheet, and once that was completed, that completes this DIY. I absolutely loved how these topiaries turned out. They are super adorable, very vibrant, and perfect for Easter and spring decor. Now, as you see, I did not add eyes to the secondary one, but I kind of like it better that way. But I would love to know what you think about this DIY down in the comment section below. Alright friends, that completes today's round of DIYs, and I absolutely had a blast making these. Each one was individually absolutely adorable except for my cracked egg one, but I still think it turned out pretty cute. But these are so bright and vibrant that will be perfect for the Easter season that is coming pretty quickly. As always, I would love to know which one was your favorite down in the comment section below. And while you're down there, don't forget to smash that thumbs up button if you truly enjoyed today's video. Once again, if you are new friends and you haven't yet subscribed, I hope you do that today. All you have to do is click on that big red subscribe button down below. It is totally free, but don't forget to click on the bell notification so that YouTube can notify you every time I upload a new video. Plus, we would really love to have you part of our virtual art family here, where we do a lot of DIYs with an artistic twist. If you are already a subscriber, thank you so much for being here and taking a little bit of time out of your day to spend it making some of these awesome DIYs. But don't forget to do all of the YouTubey things down below, which is like, comment, and share it to at least one friend. It really does help out my channel, and I do appreciate each and every one of you being here. Remember friends, I do have other socials. I have a Facebook, Instagram, and now a Patreon page that if you go right now and sign up for any tier, you will receive this free wallpaper that is listed down below, and another one depending on which tier that you choose. Also, if you sign up for the Pen Pal palette tier, you will receive a 5x7 print of our painting that is here right now, and it will be mailed to you by the end of the month. All of those links will be linked down in the description box below, where it says all of my other socials. All you have to do is click on that. Remember, you can always sign up for free and see which tier really speaks to you, and hopefully you'll become a member over there. I would deeply appreciate it. Thank you all so much for watching and taking the time out of your busy day to watch this video, and I am super excited to share more with you, which is coming out really soon. So make sure that you're subscribed so you never miss out. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, I will see you in the next one.